Some days life feels perfect, other days it just ain't working. The good, the bad in between. Yo, it's crazy.
Yeah, good morning once again. Thank you ladies for joining me. Okay, I'm sorry I'm late today, so let's go straight to what we have today. It's a beautiful morning here. It's a beautiful morning, Saturday morning here in Houston, Texas. So thank you for joining me. Yeah, my name is Toyin Oyetunde. I'm a special education resource specialist, and that means I work with children with special needs, with learning disabilities, and I also get the privilege, yes, to build resources for their specific needs, because special education is not a one-size-fits-all, and so because everybody is different, that means I have to create resources for them, for their individual, needs and interests. So yes, so that's what I do. Currently, I'm a special education resource teacher with an elementary school, and so I work with kinder through to fifth grade. So that's story in a nutshell. So thank you for joining and welcome. For those of us who would get to see this later on, who would get to watch the replay, it's a pleasure doing this. This is what I think I've done all my life. And so to be doing this and be sharing and to get the opportunity to share this with people, it's an honor, and I thank God for that. So yeah, so enough of me. Let's go straight into what we have today. Last week we talked about the tips for helping for helping kids to talk better, to have better communication, and yeah, that's what we did last week. So, but today I got a few questions, and then that got me thinking. Okay, yes, that helped. A few people said that helped, but also at the same time, I also wanted to, based on the questions that were asked in my inbox last week, I thought, let's take it a different direction, and that's it's not completely, out of point. Excuse me, but and also we can relate with this because we are faith people. We are faith based. I'm a Christian. I love God. And in as much as we all try to say we are Christians, I believe in Jesus and all of that, there are sometimes we tend to overdo things. We tend to act differently from what's expected of a Christian, which means what is expected of someone who follows Jesus, when it comes to certain issues. So that's the reason why I decided, let's take it a little bit deeper, beyond special education itself, but as a people, as a person, what's your understanding, what's your perspective about special education? How do you see special education, or how do you see disability? That's why I put the question there. Faith and disability. What's your take? What do you think? What do you believe? What's your understanding? And when you come in contact with someone who has a disability, or you as a parent, or you as an individual has a disability, how do you handle it? What's your reaction? After coming to acceptance that, okay, yes, this is what it is. How are you able to navigate the challenges that comes after accepting that this is what I have to deal with? So it's a lot, but to make it to just be specific, I would like to touch on what's your faith, what's your understanding about disability as a Christian. What do you believe? What do you agree to be acceptable for a person of faith to be? Okay, yes, this is a disability. What's your understanding, pretty much? So that's why I decided to go in that direction. Faith and disability as a Christian. God loves me, right? God loves you, right? But things happen, life happens, and when it does happen, we tend to ask the question, oh God, why me? Oh, come on, why you? If it's not you, then who would it be? Me? We ask this question all the time, Lord, why me? Yes, it's you. It's you, it has to be you. And we stay there for a very long time. We stay there for a very long time, thinking, questioning, feeling sorry for ourselves, throwing the pity party, thing all over the place, and we don't get up immediately and come to the realization that this is to glorify God. This is to show me how strong I am as a person and also as a parent. I also want to think that culture has played a huge role on this way of thinking or this belief system. Yes, even as a Christian, we tend to think certain things shouldn't come to us. Other people are deserving of it, but not us, as Christians. Yes, it's a good way to think, but when it does happen, how do you reprogram your thought process about that situation is very key to your moving forward, and also very key to your growth out of that challenge. So special education is no different, or disability, I'm sorry. Any form of disability is no different from every other challenge in life that we face, that comes our path. You get married, you don't get to have kids on time, or you're over 30 and you're not married yet, or you're looking for, at least I want a job, and you've not been able to get a job, especially in the pandemic. All of those challenges or things I've just mentioned are some form of challenges or disability. How do you see it? What's your understanding about disability? In as much as we all have this idea that disability is physical, yes it is, but it's also mental. It can be seen. Our struggles, our daily challenges, our challenges in relationships, those are disabilities. So the whole essence of having this conversation with you is to also help me understand, how do you see disability? What's your understanding? What's your take on disability? So yes, so like I said, disability and faith is what we'll be talking about today. So hold on, let me quickly pin this disability. Okay, had a minute of interruption there by my little girl. How do you pin this now? How do you pin this now? Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. Yeah, so yeah, so that's what we're talking about today. Disability and faith. You know, as faith people, how do we react when we see someone with a disability? You know, how do we react when we see someone with a disability in church? How do we react when we see someone with disability in a public space? You know, what's your take on it? You know, so that's the reason for this conversation. And so we tend to ask questions like, you know, how did this happen to me? How did this happen to me? You know, we tend to ask that question a lot. How did this happen to me? Well, not everything in life has an explanation. As a parent, you know, we go through life day by day, you know, expecting the best of everything. But you know what? Life happens. In fairness, I think this is just me trying to encourage, you know, parents and fellow women like myself, but especially parents who have, you know, children with disability. You know, now that will be physical, because the mental or the learning disabilities that, you know, that most people have, even though that's not visible, the one with the physical disability is more of what people tend to, you know, react to when they see it, because it's physical. You can see it in, you know, with your two eyes, and so people tend to act, you know, in a funny way when it comes into their space. So yeah. So the question of, you know, how did this happen to me? It's not something that, you know, we all have answers to. But when it does happen, I would say take it in good faith and, you know, look for the good in it and let's move on, because nothing, honestly speaking, nothing happens in our lives and when it happens, oh, God is surprised, like, oh, really? Did that just happen? I need to fix that. No. You know, like the Bible verse, Psalm 139, you know, Psalm 139, I think verse 13 and 14, that says, you know, God made the child in the womb. He knitted the child in the womb with intention. It wasn't by mistake. So he knew about it. You know, so when we say, oh, how did this happen to me? It happened to you because you've been blessed with an amazing child that is uniquely complex, different from every other person on earth. You know, so that question of, you know, how did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? Oh my God. We need to change our mindset. We need to move from that, you know, that stage or that place where we are to the next stage. Yes, it has happened. What's the next thing to do? You know, that's what we should be looking at, because to be honest with you, you know, God has made a way. Yes, it has happened, right? God has made provision for you to get ahead of that challenge. God has provided, you know, the wisdom that is required for you to move ahead in that challenge. Okay, are you willing to find it? You know, it becomes a bit difficult when you stay in the question place. Why did this happen to me for so long? And you know, you don't even see the opportunity or the things in your environment that are making themselves known to you, that okay, this is possible and this can be done. You know, hello Sumbo, hello Ola Sumbo. Nice to have you here. Yeah, so today I'm touching on disability and faith. And I'm sure it's either you're a mom or an auntie, so you have a niece or a nephew. So regardless of, being a mother or a parent, you're a parent to your niece or your nephew. So thank you for joining me. So like I was saying, so we keep the idea of constantly, talking about I lost my thoughts there. The idea of thinking, oh, why should this be happening to me? We need to get ahead of that. We need to go past that and look for the good in it, and look for the opportunities that are available in our space to help the child, and also to live an amazing, a joyful life at the end of the day. Also, this question that we talk about, we say, why did this happen? Yeah, the first one is, how did this happen to me? And then the next one is, how did this happen? How did it happen? Oh, I married early, right? Oh, I carried my child to full term. How did this still happen? Oh, I'm a believer. How did this still happen? Like I said in the first question, there is nothing, and absolutely nothing, that happens to us that takes God by surprise. How do you take the challenge when it happens really, really matters a lot. How do you handle the challenge of having a child with disability, be it physical, be it mental, be it emotional or behavioral? How do you handle the challenge that you're having to deal with right now? Hi, endowed. How do you handle the challenge? That's very, very important as a parent or as an individual. The next question I also want to touch on is, now that it has happened, what next? What now? Okay, so that means you're getting to a point or a place where you're beginning to accept that, okay, this is my lot. How do I cultivate this lot that has been given to me? How do I take care of this child that has been given to me? Now that I see that, okay, this is where we are. I have an autistic child who I have to attend to. I have a child with a physical disability who I have to care for. Now, what's the way forward? All of that has come to a point. That question of what now is, you've gotten to a point where you are realizing that I need to do something. I need to get up. I need to move, and make the best of this experience. And so that's pretty much what today is about. Is your faith and disability. Your faith and disability. Disability comes in different forms. How do you understand what disability is? It comes in different forms. It's not just the physical, it's not just mental, it's not just emotional. So we all go through disability one way or the other, because we are all human beings. If you are able to have a round view, a world view of what disability is, it would help you cope better as a person. It would help you relate better with other people when you come across anyone who has a disability. It would open you up. You would stop having this pity party thing about, I'm having to deal with a child with disability, or my child isn't doing so well in school academically. Why is life? Because when you don't have a job and you're struggling, that's a disability. When you're waiting and you're like, I can't wait to get married, I can't wait to have my home, that's a disability, because that's a challenge at that point in time. And so it's a journey. So is disability. Disability is a journey. How you manage, how you handle your openness and acceptance to it matters a lot. That's what determines, how far, how well the journey will go for you as a parent or as an individual. Because the truth is, there are resources, there are opportunities, there are professionals, there are people, there are books that are available to help. Hello, Sumbo. There are people available to work that would help you as an individual or as a parent. And come to think of it, since we're talking about faith and disability, the Bible is packed. The Bible is packed with the wisdom, with the resources also that we need to move on with every single challenge of life that we face. So you're not left alone. As a Christian who is doubting, who is questioning, why is this happening? What is happening? Why did this happen to me? I did everything all well. I carried my pregnancy full term. I ate well. I'm in good health. I'm not overweight. All of those things that we tend to think. It's fine. You haven't done anything wrong. You are perfect. The child is perfect. There is nothing wrong with you. So we need to understand that first, and so we can make a headway. We need to understand that first, that disability is not the end of the world. Having a disability doesn't make you less loved. So now this is another question that came to me right now. Between you and God, who loves the child more, you or God? Between you and God, who loves the child more, or who loves you more? Do you love yourself more than God loves you? Or do you, the parent, love the child more than God who made the child? No. So it means everything is in perfect condition. Everything is going as planned. It is now left for you to change the way you are thinking, your understanding about what disability is. So please feel free to ask me any question when it comes to disability and our faith walk with God. Your child is perfect. You as a person who is struggling with one thing or the other, you are perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Life happens in seasons and it's a journey, and so is disability too. Take one day at a time, look for the help that is available, and enjoy the process. That's the whole essence of living. That's how do you know when someone is in disability? Well, of course, we know that disability is one of the ways you can also know that somebody has a disability is, of course, the physical one. But the most common one that people do not know about is intellectual learning disabilities. When it comes to writing, when it comes to reading, when it comes to being able to comprehend what you've been taught. So those are the kind of disabilities that we cannot see. Thank you for asking that question. Physical disability, yes, the one we know, the person is blind, or the child is on a wheelchair, or the child is deaf. But the most common disability that we're having to deal with in this day and time is intellectual disability, emotional disability, behavioral disability that most of us do not quite understand. So if you have a broader view of what a disability is, the better it is for you to cope with anyone and anybody that comes into your space with a disability. You're quick to be more sensitive, you're more empathic, you're open to understanding why this person is acting this way. So that's what today's Moments with Toyin is about: faith and disability, because of the questions I was asked. Why I seem to have done everything right, but still I'm having to deal with this. But I want to tell you that you're not alone in this. There are people like me willing to work with you. There are people like me willing to support you. There are people like me, and there are resources available to help you get through this journey, regardless of what it is, be it emotional, be it intellectual or a learning disability. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much. Oh, it's okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you, Endowed. Thank you so much. I'm sure you can see the topic for today, faith and disability. Please, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. It would be nice to hear what you think. Just a recap of what I touched on today. Faith and disability was the topic I decided to touch on today, and I picked on a few questions that I received. The question of why is this happening to me? The question of how did this happen? If everything was right, I was doing everything right. So how did this happen? And why did this happen to me? And then also, okay, now that it has happened, what's the next thing to do? Those were the three questions I touched on: why, how, and what's the way forward. Having accepted that, okay, there's a challenge here, how do we fix it, and moving forward. Also, I also touched on, as faith people, our understanding about disability really matters, because culture makes us also to believe that once there's a disability that is physical or in any form, we tend to take too much responsibility for it being our fault. We tend to take too much, we beat ourselves up too much for not doing enough, for not meeting up to the expectation, thinking that, okay, if maybe I did everything perfectly well, then my child should be perfect. Of course, the child is perfect, regardless of you are perfect, regardless of the challenges that you are having to deal with. So that's what I want you to take away today, that disability does not change how much God loves you. And also, you do not love that child more than God loves that child. If you don't take anything away today, take it away that God loves you more than you love yourself. God loves that child more than you, the parents. So if that's the case, then everything is perfect. That means everything would go smoothly. Just get up and look for the help and the resources that God has made available on earth for the advancement and for the improvement of the journey that you're having to walk through right now. So this is me rounding up. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you so much for spending your day with me. I know it's afternoon in Nigeria and it's morning here. So thank you for joining me on Moments with Toyin. Every weekend, like I said, it will be a date with you to spend a few minutes with you, and let's talk about things like this that most of us shy away from. We don't want to come out. We don't want to say, oh, I'm having this trouble with my child, or oh, my child isn't so doing so well, and all of those little worries here that we parents have to deal with of course our plates full with every other activity and engagements that we need to meet up with. So thank you so much for being here with me. I hope to see you next week, same time, and so thank you so much. Have a beautiful weekend ahead, and God bless you. Bye bye.